If I told you that one of the most powerful tools for stabilizing blood sugar and slowing the silent progression of diabetes after 60 isn't hidden in a pharmacy or locked behind an extreme diet, but is sitting right there in your kitchen in a cup you've probably held thousands of times, would you believe me? I'm not here to sell you empty promises or scare you with worst-case scenarios just to keep you watching. I'm here to share a real, practical, and surprisingly effective approach that I've seen work again and again in older adults. I'm talking about coffee. Yes, coffee. I'm Dr. Adriana, and if you're watching this, chances are you're experiencing something I hear every single day in my practice. You're trying to do the right things, you're making an effort, you're being careful, yet your blood sugar still feels unpredictable. One day it looks acceptable, the next it spikes. You eat less and it rises. You walk and it drops only to climb again later. You feel tired for no clear reason, mentally foggy, hungry at strange hours, or like your body simply doesn't respond the way it used to. And what makes it worse is when you're told that's just normal with age, as if decline were inevitable and not something you can still influence. I want you to hear this clearly. In many cases, it's not destiny. It's a system that's out of sync. It's a series of signals your body receives every day in the wrong order. And one of the most overlooked signals is when and how you drink your coffee. For years, I thought of coffee as nothing more than a habit, a cultural routine, something people used to wake up. But the deeper I studied metabolism in older adults, the clearer the pattern became. Coffee is not neutral. It's a chemical message. It's a command that travels through your nervous system, your hormones, and your liver. It can push your body toward balance, or it can push it toward chaos, depending entirely on how you use it. Research published in medical journals such as Diabetes Care and the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition has shown that coffee consumption, when properly timed, is associated with improved insulin sensitivity and a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes, especially in people over 60. And that matters because insulin sensitivity is the heart of the problem. Diabetes isn't just about high sugar, it's about your body losing its ability to respond to the signal that moves glucose out of the bloodstream. When that response weakens, sugar lingers in the blood, slowly damaging everything it touches: blood vessels, eyes, kidneys, nerves, the heart, and even the brain. Type 2 diabetes is cruel because it rarely hurts at first. It doesn't scream, it whispers. It starts with thirst, fatigue, slightly blurry vision, wounds that heal more slowly, mild tingling, nights where you wake up to urinate more often, and because the symptoms are subtle, many people normalize them. It's just age, they say, until the day the lab results arrive and a number on a piece of paper suddenly feels like a verdict. Then comes the fear. Fear of insulin, fear of complications, fear of losing vision, fear of heart attacks, fear of dependence. What hurts me most is seeing people arrive genuinely discouraged, people who really tried. I've had older patients cut out bread, walk daily, follow instructions carefully, and still watch their blood sugar misbehave. They look at me and ask, "Doctor, why isn't this working?" For a long time, that question haunted me. It felt like a puzzle that was almost complete except for one missing piece. Yes, food matters. Yes, movement matters. Yes, medication can be necessary. But something else was interfering with metabolic balance every morning and every afternoon without anyone noticing. That missing piece revealed itself when I began examining daily habits closely, small details, and the pattern kept repeating. People were drinking coffee in ways that seemed harmless, even healthy. Yet, their blood sugar behaved as if something were constantly pushing it off track. This wasn't magic. It was physiology. Coffee contains remarkable compounds that can be true allies. Chlorogenic acid can influence how glucose is absorbed in the intestine and how the body handles sugar after meals. Polyphenols help reduce inflammation. Magnesium, often deficient in older adults, plays a critical role in hundreds of metabolic reactions related to insulin sensitivity. Coffee can even stimulate messengers like GLP-1, which help regulate blood sugar and appetite. But here's the turning point. These benefits are not automatic. They don't happen just because you drink coffee. They depend on timing. They depend on what's in your stomach. They depend on what you do afterward. They depend on your sleep and your stress levels. In other words, coffee is like a tool. It can create harmony or noise depending on how you use it. That's why I want to make you a very specific promise. By the end of this, you'll understand why so many older adults drink coffee every day, yet feel their blood sugar never truly improves. And you'll learn how to turn that same cup into real metabolic support. This isn't about drinking more coffee. In many cases, the problem is the opposite. Drinking it at the wrong time on an empty stomach with the wrong additions that triggers cortisol, releases glucose from the liver, disrupts sleep, and quietly destroys insulin sensitivity. And when that happens, everything else you do during the day becomes harder. Let me put it simply. Many older adults are drinking coffee with good intentions, but they're pressing the wrong metabolic button. And then they wonder why their blood sugar spikes for no reason. There is a reason, and it's far more common than you think. Every week, I see the same 3 mistakes repeated. Mistakes that turn coffee into a trap. Not because coffee is bad, but because after 60, the body no longer handles stimulation the same way it did at 30. The liver processes caffeine more slowly. Hormonal responses are stronger. Muscle reserves may be lower. And when prediabetes or insulin resistance is present, poorly timed coffee can push you exactly in the wrong direction. So stay with me because once you recognize these mistakes, you can correct them with small adjustments. And when you do, you'll notice what my patients describe in the same words every time. Doctor, for the first time, my energy feels stable. Less sudden hunger, fewer crashes after meals, less craving for sweets, clearer thinking, more calm. And when energy stabilizes, everything else becomes easier. Walking, eating well, sleeping better, even managing medication without feeling defeated. That's why this topic is bigger than a drink. It's an entry point, a daily switch. Now listen carefully, because in the next part, I'm going to expose the 3 most dangerous coffee mistakes. The first happens right after you wake up. The second happens when you think you're boosting energy. And the third happens when you sweeten or pair your coffee without realizing you're canceling all its benefits. And once you see them clearly, I'll show you the exact method I use with older adults to turn coffee into a true ally for blood sugar without extremes, without suffering, and without complicated rules. Just smart biology applied to real life. Now, let's continue because this is where everything becomes practical and where most people finally understand why their efforts haven't been paying off. Once you know what coffee can do to your metabolism, you also need to understand how easily its benefits can be destroyed. In my experience, there are 3 extremely common mistakes that quietly sabotage blood sugar control in people over 50. And the most dangerous part is that almost everyone believes they're harmless. The first mistake is drinking coffee on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. This is one of the most widespread habits I see, especially among seniors who were taught that black coffee is clean or healthy. After a full night of fasting, your body wakes up in a highly sensitive hormonal state. Cortisol, the stress hormone that helps you wake up, is already elevated. When caffeine hits your system at that moment with no food present, it amplifies that cortisol surge. Your liver interprets this as an emergency signal and releases stored glucose into the bloodstream. The result is a blood sugar spike that can occur before you've eaten a single bite of food. Many people are shocked when they check their glucose mid-morning and see numbers 20, 30, even 40 points higher than expected. They blame stress, age, or mystery diabetes when in reality, it was the timing of that first cup. This doesn't mean coffee is forbidden in the morning, it means your body needs context. After 60, caffeine without nutrients is interpreted as stress, not support. Over time, this daily cortisol glucose cycle worsens insulin resistance, increases belly fat, and leaves you feeling wired but tired. People describe it as nervous energy followed by a crash. That crash leads to cravings, snacking, and another spike later in the day. One small habit quietly sets off a chain reaction. The second mistake is drinking coffee too late in the day. Many people think of coffee only in terms of alertness, but its deeper impact is on your sleep hormones. After about 2 or 3 p.m., caffeine can interfere with your ability to fully lower cortisol in the evening. Even if you fall asleep, your sleep becomes lighter and more fragmented. Why does this matter for blood sugar? Because poor sleep directly reduces insulin sensitivity the next day. In fact, just one night of disrupted sleep can make your cells behave as if you were suddenly pre-diabetic. Night after night, this creates a pattern where fasting glucose rises, morning numbers worsen, and inflammation quietly increases. People often say, "I sleep fine," but their body tells a different story in their labs. The third mistake is adding sugar, sweetened creamers, or pastries to coffee. This is the most obvious one, yet also the most underestimated. Coffee on its own contains compounds that slow glucose absorption and improve insulin signaling. But the moment you add sugar or refined carbohydrates, you cancel those effects entirely. A sweetened coffee becomes a rapid glucose delivery system. Even artificial sweeteners are not harmless. Many of them disrupt gut bacteria and confuse insulin signaling, increasing long-term resistance. This is why so many people switch to zero sugar products and still see no improvement. The problem isn't calories, it's signaling. Now that you understand what not to do, let's talk about what actually works. Over the years, I've refined a simple framework that I use with older adults who want stable energy, better numbers, and fewer crashes. It doesn't require giving up coffee. It requires drinking it with intention. The first principle is pairing coffee with protein. When coffee is consumed alongside protein, the cortisol response is blunted and glucose released from the liver is controlled. This can be as simple as adding a scoop of unsweetened protein powder or collagen to your coffee, or drinking it after eating eggs, yogurt, or another protein-rich breakfast. Protein sends a message of safety to the body. It tells your metabolism that this is nourishment, not stress. Many patients notice that their energy becomes smoother within days. The second principle is timing coffee strategically before meals. Drinking black coffee about 20 to 30 minutes before a meal can slow carbohydrate absorption and reduce post-meal glucose spikes. This works because chlorogenic acid acts like a traffic controller in the intestine, preventing glucose from flooding the bloodstream all at once. This simple habit alone can lower post-meal numbers significantly without changing what you eat. The third principle is using coffee after movement. After walking or light exercise, your muscles are highly sensitive to insulin and hungry for glucose. Coffee at this moment helps direct sugar into muscle cells instead of leaving it circulating in the blood. This effect can last for hours and even into the next day. It's one of the most powerful ways to turn coffee into a metabolic ally rather than a disruptor. Finally, moderation matters. More coffee is not better. After 60, the liver processes caffeine more slowly, which means excess amounts linger longer and increase stress responses. A simple rule I use is adjusting intake based on body size and activity level, not habits or social norms. The goal is calm alertness, not stimulation. If coffee makes you anxious, shaky, or hungry shortly after drinking it, that's a signal to adjust timing or amount. I want you to understand something important here. None of this is about perfection, it's about alignment. When coffee is used in harmony with your body's rhythms, it becomes supportive. When it's used against those rhythms, it quietly works against you. The same cup can either stabilize your blood sugar or sabotage it. The difference is knowledge. I've watched patients who felt stuck for years finally see progress once this daily habit was corrected. Not overnight miracles, but steady improvements, fewer spikes, better fasting numbers, more predictable energy, and perhaps most importantly, a sense of control returning. Diabetes feels terrifying when it seems random. It feels manageable when patterns become clear. So, I want to leave you with this thought. Your health after 50 is not determined by one dramatic decision. It's shaped by small signals repeated daily. Coffee is one of those signals. When you learn to send the right message, your body listens. And when your body listens, healing becomes possible. Not through extremes, but through consistency. If this information made you rethink how you start your day or drink your coffee, share it with someone you care about. These are the kinds of habits that quietly change outcomes. And if you're willing to experiment, try applying these principles for just 1 week. Watch how your energy feels. Watch how your hunger changes. Watch how your numbers respond. Awareness is the first step toward real control, and control is the foundation of long-term